Again, you're watching ACT.tv. I'm Julianna Forlano. Here are the progressive news headlines for Monday, July 13th. Pediatricians are joining teachers across the country demanding significant federal funding to ensure that schools can reopen safely amid the coronavirus pandemic. I'm not sure if that's possible, but right-wing governors are demanding it be so. As Republican lawmakers express reluctance to invest in the health of the nation's children and educators, the American Academy of Pediatrics is joining with the National Education Association, the American Federation of Teachers, the AASA, and the School Superintendents Association in order to demand that all public schools are equipped with personal protective equipment, ventilation systems, cleaning equipment, and social distancing measures that would require smaller class sizes. Now, people have been demanding smaller class sizes for some time because it is better for educational purposes. And I don't know about you, but as a parent, everybody knows that kids go to school and they catch everything. So basically, I think it might be have been a good idea to do this in the first place, to do all that extra cleaning and ventilation in the first place. Here's a video of Betsy DeVos in all her evil Cruella de Vil glory talking about the CDC guidelines and how they're meant to be flexible. You don't really have to do it. You don't really have
is because they have almost 200.
No, 4 days a week, either 4 days a week online and online, and the fifth day not, and 2 days a week in person. These are not valid options and choices for families, and it's not full-time instruction.
Okay, what you are saying is you want kids back in school. What he is saying is because they have almost 200,000 children in their school district, they would have to build the size of 5 pentagons in order to accommodate what you were asking for. They're a wealthy district, but even with money, it's just not feasible. So what is your recommendation given that reality?
My recommendation
that the kids just die, or they get it and they bring it back to their parents, and then the parents just die, or perhaps they just kill all the teachers so that Betsy DeVos can go ahead with her plan of having a ruling class that's educated and the masses that are not educated.
is he take up the offer to meet with my team and some of the folks from the CDC and the task force to talk about ways that they can look at this freshly and
putting out there that, I think that, don't quote me on this, but the Betsy DeVos and the administration put out there that there's some number, it's only like 0.2 amount of the children who might get sick, and 0.2 across the nation comes out to what? Like 100,000 kids. I guess that's okay. Or 20,000 kids. Is that okay? I think even one kid getting it in school is a big problem and dying from it.
And differently on behalf of the students they're serving.
Should they follow CDC guidelines?
On my team, the CDC guidelines are just that, meant to be flexible and meant to be applied as appropriate for the situation.
But states' rights, let them die.
Understand how
I would look forward to working with him to
have CDC guidelines on one hand. Sure, go ahead.
I was just going to say I would look forward to meeting with him along with some of the folks from the task force.
Again, it's rapey. Look at the headline. Look at the line at the bottom. Look at the chyron. Trump and DeVos push all schools to fully reopen this fall. They love just ramming it in there, whether it's good for someone or not, whether parents want to send their kids to school or not. Parents, me as a parent, I question whether to send my child to school. And I also heard on NPR a story this weekend about, some children live in families that are intergenerational. So those who are at most risk live with the children who might be going to school and mixing it up and then coming home and killing their grandparents. This is just not a safe strategy.
Talking about how this can practically happen.
Yes, well, DeVos needs it to practically happen, not because this goes without saying, because I think most people know it, but I don't think the Trump administration is known for their caring about human life and their caring about the electorate. He wants to get reelected. He needs the economy to be back functioning so that he can run on the one thing that he's running on, which is a strong stock market and also the racism. He's still going to run on the racism. But this has nothing to do with the safety of our children. Anyway, moving on, the International Union for Conservation of Nature added the Atlantic right whale to its list of critically endangered species last week. But the Trump administration, guess what, is trying to downplay the seriousness of this development. Environmental protection groups are accusing the U.S. government of, bowing to the fish and fossil fuel industry pressure, failing to enact common sense restrictions to protect the animals. I don't think they didn't bow to pressure. They just took advice. They don't care about the environmental protections that are out there. According to Public Employees for Environmental Responsibility, 100% of North Atlantic right whales fatalities are caused by boats striking them and entanglements in fishing gear. Additionally, the whales' lives are threatened by seismic airgun blasts conducted by the oil and gas companies for offshore drilling. You can go to peer.org, PEER, to keep up with their efforts to hold the Trump administration accountable for their enabling of furthering endangerment of the right whale. And, another thing we got to do. After years of activism from indigenous rights groups, the National Football League's Washington Redskins will officially be changing its name. We don't know what they're changing it to yet. Hopefully they won't pick out something equally horrendous. Native people have long held that the name is an offensive slur, but it's only in recent weeks, as corporations find themselves caught up in racial justice uprisings all over the country, that the team's owner, Daniel Snyder, has pledged to make the change. Basically, corporate sponsors like FedEx put some pressure on them. FedEx has the naming rights to the team stadium. They pushed the owner to finally make the move to end the mockery of indigenous people that the team has long relied on. The Navajo Nation is one of the most badly hit communities by COVID-19. You can make a donation to support them at nndoh.org. I wonder if teams who base their names on Native Americans, whether it be a slur or, trying not to be a slur, do they do anything for Native American rights, or do they just appropriate and think that's just fine? Moving along, the gun sense group Everytown is demanding that the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives put an end to ghost guns. These are firearms that can enter and proliferate in communities entirely undetected because they're made from unregulated gun parts that basically lets anyone with a drill in a half an hour make their own firearms, all without a background check. The gaping loophole means that individuals who shouldn't have guns, like, say, felons or people who beat their domestic partners or gun traffickers or child abusers, can undermine all of our nation's gun laws. In many states, it's already happening. A ghost gun was used in a school shooting in California, and law enforcement across the country are recovering more and more of them from crime scenes. We need you to sign this petition. Tell the ATF to enforce the law and stop ghost guns now at act.everytown.org. My 2 cents on this is, I wonder, can we follow the money on these ghost guns? Are the arms manufacturers making money here? What does the NRA say about these ghost guns? Perhaps they'd be against it if the money is not going to the arms industry, which the NRA is a front group for. Anyway, let's see what we can do. You can follow Everytown. They do such a good job. act.everytown.org. And we here at Act TV are happy to bring you the information on what they are doing. Tens of thousands are going to be striking for Black lives this July 20th, by the way, in more than 25 cities, demanding corporations and the government take action to confront systemic racism in our society and economy. Fast food, nursing home, rideshare, airport, and other workers are going on strike July 20th, and will be joined by thousands more who will walk off their jobs for 8 minutes, 46 seconds. to remember George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Elijah McClain, and other Black people killed by the police. Major national labor organizations, including the SEIU, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, the American Federation of Teachers, the United Farm Workers, the National Domestic Workers Alliance, the Fight for 15, and a union will join forces with leading racial and social justice groups like the Movement for Black Lives and the Poor People's Campaign. A national call for moral revival, March On, Future Coalition. All these great groups are coming together. The Center for Popular Democracy, Jobs for Justice. It's fantastic that this is happening. I look forward to talking to Professor Richard Wolff. We discussed in his last interview here with us on ACT.tv that when the unions and the working people join forces with for racial justice in this country, and the idea of racial justice and economic justice come together as one. First of all, that is when they generally kill the leaders. But secondly, that is when actual change happens. So you can look back if you're on ACT.tv's YouTube page and find that interview with Professor Richard Wolff that we just did, I think, 2 weeks ago. Thanks for watching. I'm Julianna Forlano. We'll see you next time with the progressive headlines